What are we doing? Where are we at?
The Ridge.
Have we ever done an interview on the dock like this?
Not with me. You have with Bob Marley.
Good old Bobby.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Bob LaPointe, I think. All the Bobs. This is like the Bob station.
Bob
You
Station.
can call me Bob if you want to.
Okay. Bob 3.
Jenny LaBob.
Jenny. Wow, we're off to a great start here. Okay, so we're back. Last time we talked was in front of the camera. Actually, last time we talked was earlier, but the last time we talked in front of the camera was September.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot's
Late
happened.
September, yeah.
That was when we could hug people
Yeah.
and high
Besides
five
each other.
and handshake.
Yep.
Yeah.
You could hang out with people.
That you wanted to.
That was right after we had a whole bunch of people here. That
I
was when
know.
the whole HO crew
Yeah,
was
HR
here.
team. Yeah, exactly. But since then,
Well, in that conversation, we talked about the possibility
Did
of
we
something.
foreshadow?
We foreshadowed something coming into fruition, and it happened
yeah,
because of us being socially isolated.
kind of COVID related.
Kind of, yeah.
We decided that we
had
had
the time.
Yeah.
We made the time.
Yeah. So, FlowPoint Method. Let's just talk about the FlowPoint Method. It's out. We haven't really pushed super hard yet because we want to make our, we want to get our ducks in a row, but
I think our ducks are in a row. It's, yeah.
ducks are in a row.
Yeah.
But we want to I'm a perfectionist slightly. You are slightly. What's that face?
Understatement of the year.
So that's maybe why I say we kind of haven't fully pushed hard with FlowPoint Method yet, because we want to make sure that we worked all the bugs out and that's dialed in for anybody and everybody who wants to be the best freaking water skier they can be. That's
Yeah.
what we care about.
Yeah.
Right?
On all levels.
On all levels.
Yeah.
So I thought about this the other day. I think water skiers in general, have historically focused on a couple things. People who really care focus on their
This is
nutrition,
a
their
general
health.
statement, yeah.
General statement. Water skiers have focused on a couple things. Number one, make sure they have a good driver behind the wheel.
Oh, yeah.
Number two, make sure that they think they have the best equipment under their feet possible. And then number three, work on some technical aspect of their skiing that's the flavor of the week or the month or the year. But that's kind of like the core and the extent of which people focus on skiing. And there's really been that I know of, there's been no, at the elite level even, there's been no consideration for programming. What types of sets should you be taking every week of every month of every year, leading up to an event, after an event? What should you be doing off the water, which is your arena? What should you be thinking about? How does skiing work?
How should you be thinking?
How should you be thinking? The mindset piece, the lifestyle piece away from the lake. So all those things wrapped up into one complete package that is cheaper for the year than a price of one ski.
And
Yeah.
cheaper for the month than it would be to have just a program from me or a program from you.
Your program, so Jenny LaBaw,
I mean, all of it. The
you offer off-water, in-gym program approach.
yeah,
to,
no coaching. Just the program itself is $150 a month. If you want coaching, it goes up from there, obviously. So
and you've been working with skiers for
decade
since the flow or since face-to-face tour.
Yeah, but also it's I think potentially a little bit of a sticker shock at first when people see this, because there's never been anything like this, so they don't even know what it should be. So when you look at this program and you see around 135 to 150, it could be a little bit shocking. But when you think what you're getting with it, you get a gym membership, because the workouts can all be done wherever you are. You get a coach, programming coach, on the water, off the water. You get a mindset coach, which we can maybe talk a little bit more about. You get a nutrition coach, plus you get a crap ton of discounts on gear and cool things. So
all the discounts.
It's an absolute no-brainer, I think.
Yeah. So so what are you most excited about? Just having how many years of experience in the health and wellness industry?
Can
you
professionally or me in it?
Can you tell me what it's like to be on the arena floor of the CrossFit Games?
Oh, it's so freaking cool. Yeah.
Really?
It is.
Yeah.
That part of it. Yeah, the rush.
2011 CrossFit Games, first year ever. Your last day last event.
Yeah, I was tired and my lips were really chapped. I needed some Blistex,
Here
like
we
real
go.
bad.
There's some more Blistex.
Well, my judge told me the last workout, like it's what 90 something degrees, 95 degrees outside, but on the arena floor, which is black and just zero shade, and black bars, it was probably approximately 4,000 degrees. I mean, that's real. No, really, it was probably like 120, 130
115.
degrees. It was hotter than hell.
Yeah.
And my judge told me I couldn't have my water on the arena floor. I was so thirsty.
And you believed them?
It happened the first workout too.
And you believed
Murph. It was modified Murph that day. Anyways, sorry. We
So-
went off on a tangent.
Okay, but
So
but no,
what
no.
was it like on the
What was it
arena
like?
floor?
Yeah. In the tennis stadium.
Oh my gosh. Well, going into it in 2011, I had zero expectations because I didn't know even where I remotely stood because I was so brand new to this sport. And then on the last day, I found myself in the top, 12 athletes left out of the whole lot. And I realized like I actually had a chance to do really well. So the rush that you get, the confidence that you build, the nerves that are attached, like all of it, it's just unexplainable.
What's one residual aspect of having been a CrossFit Games competitor and athlete more than once that might still be positively impacting your life right now?
I think like physically, one thing that's really cool about CrossFit, and let me first preface that the program we have is not, you're not doing CrossFit. I don't know why we got down in this road.
Yeah, just because it's fun to talk about CrossFit.
Yeah, but yeah, I think physically you push yourself harder than you think you could. So your body will do more than you think it can. Your mind will do more than you think it can. And that's translates to life, you know? When you're going, like, we just had to say I'm gonna cry. We just had to say goodbye to our little pup Ziggy, and she was my rock, and that was one of the hardest emotional things I've ever done. And however silly it sounds, competition teaches you how to make it through tough, hard times and keep a good mental state. And I don't know. Yeah.
Okay,
And the other thing is that really it's about the journey. Like the day out there, I will remember the last day on there. I don't care if I would have gotten 6th place or 60th place, but it was like the people that I've met, the relationships I've made, the lessons I've had throughout training by myself for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, and being out there with the best in the world. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
Yeah. What's one thing that you've learned that you've incorporated into the FlowPoint Method, gym, and off-water programming that that you've learned not to do, maybe, as far as like all the mistakes that you made, like in your own training?
Yeah. There's a ton. I've made a lot of mistakes, but one really important thing when it comes to training on the water or off the water, I think, is quality of movement over quantity of repetitions or sets, right? So in our program, I have everyone go through a personal movement assessment where you find your individual strengths as far as your movement and your position of what your body should be able to do, and then you find out where maybe you're missing some things or some holes in your game, and then we address those. So we try to avoid movements. If I'm missing my overhead position, I'm not going to have somebody be doing an overhead press because that could result in injury. So quality of movement should be priority when training, or a priority.
I mean, that translates. I think that translates really well just to the on-water stuff, because to be a better skier, water skiing is it's not about how much work you do. So it's different in that respect from other things, where like in the gym, we quantify things by how much you lifted, or in CrossFit by how much work you did in the least amount of time or whatever it may be. But on the water, except for jumping, but slalom, which is what we're concerned with, it's not about how much work you've done. It's actually quite the opposite. I think the best skiers do the same thing, because we ultimately all have to do the same thing. We have to travel about the same distance, more or less, generally speaking, around 6 buoys. So the better the skier, the less work they do in that amount of time. It's almost like they're more efficient, so they expend less. But for us, it's all about the better you can move, the better you're going to ski.
Correct.
Period.
And that's that. Sorry to interrupt you, but that is true in every arena of movement. The more efficient you are, the less wasted movement that you have, the better you're going to be able to perform.
Yeah.
Right?
I just see a parallel just now. I've
Yeah.
never looked at it like this, because a lot of people go out and they will just ski. Or they will maybe think about something for the first or second pass, but then they'll just tournament set, shorten the rope, bump boat speed up. I see that a lot in the fitness world too. Like, okay, you're competing against your time from last week or your time from last month, instead of realizing that if you can focus on the process and like one thing or two things and improve your weakness, but also kind of bolster your strength at the same time, you'll be better than just going for it all the time, every day.
Well,
all
and
week.
that comes back to like training. When you are training on the water or off the water, I don't really necessarily believe in overtraining. I believe in under recovering, right? But if you're training super, super hard all the time and you're not able to recover from that, which most people don't have all of the hours in the day to just train and then recover, unless you're a pro, you might have that if you're a paid sponsored athlete. If you train too hard, injury is not a matter of if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen, right? So if you're not giving yourself those days off, backed off of intensity or completely off on the water and off the water, there's going to be a breaking point. There's going to be a point you're going to snap. So the goal of training is to be able to continue to train to get better. If you're training and you're broken, then you can't train.
Yeah.
So going and pushing, I mean, granted, you do have to push. We're not saying that there's not going to be hard pushing days, but there's a balance in that.
Yeah. A lot of people push through the ceiling often and then blow up.
Yeah.
So that gets back to personal movement assessment, which I think is a big part of the underpinning of the FlowPoint method, at least the initial jumping off point. How well does your body move? So our friends, Kelly and Juliet, have taught us some things.
The Ready State.
TheReadyState.com. But they're awesome people. And one thing Kelly taught me, or one thing Kelly shined a light on, is there's never been somebody that said, hey, Marcus, here's how you use your body. Here's your personal instruction manual for your body. And we've all just been kind of from birth, like we've been shown things or we learn by observation, but we just kind of like learn to do what we do, and we don't have a great instruction manual on what your body should be doing or how it should be able to work and the shapes it should be able to get into. And I just was going to put my arm overhead, and I can't, so I decided to not put my arm overhead, because I can't put my arm overhead.
It should look like this.
It should look like that. It shouldn't look like this.
This is bad.
So
This is
that's bad. So in the personal movement assessment, which I think is worth its weight in gold in the FlowPoint method, you've outlined the ways your body should be able to move. And not in the sense of, if your body can't do this, you're an idiot. It's more like, here's what your body should be able to do. If your body can't do this yet, here are things that you can work on to improve those positions. Here's why those positions matter. You can't go overhead. You don't think that matters as a skier. Well, I can tell you right now, it does matter. Because you want full reach when you extend to get around the buoy. Or you want, if you fall over on your side and your ski skips out, you don't want to blow your shoulder out. It's injury prevention. It's performance enhancement, and it's longevity. So my low back, believe it or not, went out. I've talked about this to exhaustion, partly because my arm doesn't go overhead. And that sounds weird, but if I can't get full reach without extending in my low back, then I'm going to extend in my low back because I don't have range of motion in my shoulder. And then I finish that end of the turn with a heavy load, and I'm in an extended position. There goes my low back. My disc can only handle so much. So my point with all that is this personal movement assessment, I think, is huge for people, because it gives them the initial tool set with which to diagnose how well they can or can't move their body, and then instructions on how to move forward off the water, away from the water, so that they can take matters in their own hands and become better athletes to be able to get on the water next time in a better position.
Correct. Yeah.
If their coach is telling them, get stacked, but their hips are so tight that they can't get stacked, it's moot point. It's not going to happen.
Right. Or you get stacked, you feel like you're stacked, and you're not knocking any coaches. I mean, I couldn't coach you on the water. I don't have that ability. I don't know that. But there's a lot of coaches out there that don't understand basic human movement, right? So to have the combination of our skill sets together is what makes FlowPoint pretty unique, is that we can help address your issues off the water that could be inhibiting what your coach is asking you to do, you know, or not just inhibiting, but maybe you feel like, or your coach feels like, hey, that's it, you look stacked, you were there. Maybe your center of mass was, and maybe I'm saying this wrong, maybe your center of mass was in the right position, but your body was compromised to get that there.
Totally.
Right?
That's a huge deal.
Yeah. So you might be achieving what your coach is asking, but at the detriment or the expense of your body. So in combination, we're trying to balance that out, and that's where this program is fairly unique, I think.
That's not unlike somebody trying to do a bunch of pull-ups in a workout, which I've been guilty of before, like trying to meet a mark or beat a mark or exceed a score, and you can still get the work done, but if you're out of position, it takes its toll on your joints.
Right.
And so for skiing, like let's take athletic stance, for example. One of the things that I used to tell people was, arch your low back, because I thought that the way your spine functioned was in a safe position if you were arched. I thought the mechanism by which you got injured was overflexion, like in this position, being rounded and taking a load. What I didn't realize was that you want your spine neutral. You don't want it overextended. And so what happens is
time out, I'm gonna interrupt. Or the concept of
global
local
extension.
flexion versus global flexion or extension. And what we
Talk
mean by
about
that is, and this is, I think, a combination of Kelly Starrett from the Ready State as well as Carl Paoli from Freestyle Connections, right? Yeah. Super love them. Amazing minds that I feel so fortunate to have worked with. But the idea of our body, our spine is made to flex forward and it's made to extend backwards. But if it comes back to the hose, which I think we talked about in our last podcast. If you have a garden hose and we want it to round this way, if it's rounding as one unit and everything is moving, that's great. If instead I just kink the hose, I've now stopped the water from flowing through. And the same thing happens in our spine. If we kink that hose, kink our spine, bad things happen, right?
I think the garden hose is a perfect example for what we mean by global flexion extension versus local flexion extension.
And when your coach uses the term arch your back, if you understand the concept of global extension, which is arching your back as one unit in a brace dynamic position, and if you're a part of the FlowPoint method, this terminology makes sense to you, probably a little bit more, but basically if you have the strength in the tissues and the muscles surrounding your spine to get yourself in extension and accept a load safely in there, you're going to be okay. If you don't, that's when we get these kinks in the hose and an injury happens.
Well, the likelihood though of people being able to do that with tight hips from sitting in this shape. I mean, if you take a credit card and you bend it into a 90-degree position, you hold it there for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, sitting, driving to the lake, sitting at the office, whatever it is, it's probably never going to want to go straight again.
Right.
And that's exactly what we're doing to our bodies. And then we get on the water, we try to get stacked, we know where our center of mass should be, or we think we know where our center of mass should be. Next thing you know, you're trying to contort your body in weird ways that's not designed to be put into, just to get your ski to function how you want this to function.
Right.
Ultimately, your ski doesn't care what shape your body's in.
No.
Your ski just wants...
cares where your mass is.
It cares where your mass is, your center of mass. But your body cares where your body is, because if you're cantilevered with your upper body to get your center of mass in the right spot, now you have this huge gap between the handle and your body. That's more stress on different joints in your system instead of using your skeleton.
And the body's really crazy, because the body will do it and do it and do it until one day it doesn't anymore. And that's what happened to you. You were able to do it at the most elite level for so long until one tragic day that we don't like to talk about. It was finally wear and tear and wear and tear and wear and tear. It's finally like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And it gave out. And we don't want that to happen to anybody ever.
No, I mean, the best way to explain that is what Kelly says about pain. It's a lagging indicator. It means you can do things out of position. You can demand more of your body than it really is able to provide, and it will just buffer that, and it will stay under the pain ceiling for a long time. I remember right here, this lake, skiing, training with Terry and my brother, and running 39s, and every 1, 3, and 5 buoy turn at 39, I would get a shock of electricity from my foot all the way up through my hip. And I would share it with people. I would say, yeah, that was weird. I keep getting the shock at 135. And it was because I would come through the finish of the turn. I would load my back leg. My body I wasn't flexible enough. I wasn't mobile enough. And I was taking a load through my back leg on my outside turn in an extended position, you know, a 500, 600, 700 pound load, maybe more, a spike like that, multiple times over and over. And my body was like, guy, something's happening.
It's a sign.
You're getting electricity through your rear leg every time you try to run 39 and make turns at 41. But I was just like, okay, just make a mental note of that.
Yep.
And I didn't address it. And at some point, my body was like, can't buffer that anymore. You're done. Your disc is gone. Sorry. We want to save people from getting to that point.
Correct.
That's what the FlowPoint method is about. It's not just about ultimate performance. The end goal is we want people to ski their best buoys ever more times than they are right now. But we also
Or not buoys. Let me throw that out there.
No.
Sorry to interrupt
Yeah.
you, but it's not all about buoys.
No,
I love to free ski, and there were some people that talked about,
Recreational.
hey, I'm a recreational skier. Is this for me? Yeah, this
Yeah.
is just about being the best skier that you want to be, whatever
Exactly.
level that is. So don't think this is like a tournament skier.
No,
person.
peak performance on the water, whether it's
Yeah.
in the course or free skiing. But we also, the main goal where I was going was we want people to do this for more years than they thought they previously could. We want this to last a lifetime. I mean, my folks are almost 80 and my dad's dreaming about skiing. I wish he was in a better spot to still be skiing. You know, my mom broke her back. I wish she was in a better spot to be able to still enjoy the lake and enjoy the lifestyle that they brought us up in. But that's what we want the FlowPoint method to be. We want it to give people the tools and the means, the path forward so that they can do this for a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's one of the ways, is the personal movement assessment, so that not just in skiing, but in racquetball, in playing with their kids or grandkids, in snow skiing and mountain biking and whatever it is, what other activities that you do as a human, this FlowPoint method can also apply to that to help you move better.
Yeah, that's one big thing to kind of go along with that, but switch gears a little bit, is the FlowPoint method off the water training is, especially as we get into the off season, but even throughout other parts of the season, is skiing is such an asymmetrical sport. Like you're standing on a board with the same foot always in front of the other. There's already a little bit of rotation and torque and funny things happening. So to be able to get yourself off of that, either in the gym or on a bike or on a trail or whatever it is you're choosing to do, that's going to be challenging your body in different ways, as well as the specific off the water training in the gym or whatever you call your gym, working to get yourself symmetrical. That's a huge part of doing different sports or different activities, you know. And that could be different activities on the water even. It doesn't have to be, if you're like a lake junkie and that's all you want to do, cool, but jump on your paddleboard, swim, you know, whatever.
I think
surf, other things.
I honestly think at the elite level, I don't want to keep talking about elite like pro skiers or whatever pro water skiing means, but at that higher level, those pros tend to prioritize like other activities aside from just water ski. And I know a lot of skiers in general that do that, but there's also a subset of people who all they do is water ski, and it's taking its toll on their body, but it's also not giving them the best chance for success in the way you were just talking about. In other words, testing your body, testing your motor function in different arenas brings all the rising sea lifts all ships, something like that.
Yeah.
It's essentially what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
We're trying to elevate all aspects of your life.
Yeah.
And skiing will come up with those other elements.
Totally.
I know Trent Finlayson mountain bikes.
Yeah.
Terry and I, we mountain bike.
Terry
I know,
runs.
yeah. Sasha, I just saw him on a trials bike the other day over in France or wherever. Like, people are...
Jamie snow skis.
Jamie snow skis.
Yeah.
Bob LaPointe, snow ski forever.
Yeah.
Like, sliding sports are a different type of sport than like normal sports where your feet are on the ground. But the more things you're involved in, the better ultimately you'll be.
I'm going to come in also and say, like, I don't really like the gym. Like that's the biggest reason why I stopped CrossFitting is because I need to be outside. I need to be doing real fun, what we call real fun active sports, like moving your body outside of specific, like lifting a barbell or lifting dumbbells.
I'd say
right?
most skiers feel the same exact way.
Right, but it is critical that a couple times a week you are moving your body through full range of motion. When you're running, you're not moving through full range of motion. When you're mountain biking, you're not moving through full range of motion. When you're snow skiing, unless you yard sail, you're not going through full range of motion. So it's really a road bike, forget it. Like you're in one of the worst positions. So it's really, really important that you implement off-water training not only in another sport, but assessing your actual joint function.
Yeah. Which again goes back to what you spell out in the personal movement assessment on the method, talking about how your body should function.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, here are the corrective measures you can take on a weekly basis to help move your body in a better direction so it can get in all the shapes.
Correct. And bicep curls are like not bicep curls aren't bad, but
Not
I do
bad.
know a lot. They're not bad. They're actually really good for connective tissue for water skiing. But a lot of people are like,
They
oh,
should
I
probably
just
do
do
them.
like pull ups and bicep curls and I'm going to be great. Well,
Well,
probably not.
That's the other thing. So we are at the lake, and we're gonna get probably some boat noise here, but that's okay. So what you just said was kind of cool because skiers tend to think in terms of like the piecemeal off-water gym programming that I used to do. Before I kind of got into some more organized stuff, was like, oh well, I pull, so I need to pull when I'm not on the ski to get stronger. You got to realize that it's opposing muscles need to be worked as well. And that's part of being able to use your body and get in all the shapes.
Totally.
You know, like you should probably do some push-ups or probably do some things that,
But then I'm going to come in the other way and say and I think we kind of touched on this. So say that you're doing a gym, you love the gym, you're a gym rat, you love the gym, you're doing your gym stuff, and then your sport is water skiing. It's really important you challenge yourself in athletic ways other than those two. So it's like this full circle of choosing what makes it fun for you, but also achieves the goal of challenging your body through full range of motion for you and improving your position as well as your neuromuscular connections and your like the whole thing, your coordination, all of it's going to make you a better athlete in every arena. So
what are you most excited about with, in the coming year, what do you want to see or be able to offer people in the
on the
coming year?
FlowPoint method?
Yeah, or otherwise.
So I've worked with a handful of dudes since 2009, 2010, water skiers who they're still improving 10 years later. So what I get really excited of the FlowPoint method is when people, hopefully it's you, decide to adopt this, to realize like this is a lifelong journey. Like this isn't just I'm going to do it for a year and then stop. Like and whether you choose to take what we've done for you for a year and implement it into your lifestyle and report back to us, or you stay with us from here until the eternity, is to see how you progressively get better and essentially get younger as an athlete because you're taking care of yourself on every level. And I am definitely not a competitive skier. I have zero desire to be a competitive skier, but what I get passionate about is to see people implementing real food and stress reduction and full movements and laughing with their community and going camping on the lake and free skiing and like just living a life of joy that makes them a better skier.
Yeah.
That's what I get excited
about.
about.
It's the whole piece, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a wellness coach. I like people to be well for life.
You're pretty good at it too. But
it's constant. And it's constant. Like we're talking about movement, going back to the movement assessment. It's not like, okay, well, I know that my hip flexors are really tight, so I'm going to work on them for a month. And all of a sudden, look at this. My hips are in a great neutral position and I have full hip extension. And then you don't touch on it for another month. Yeah. Or you just one day go for a 3-hour mountain bike ride. Your hips are going to need love. This is a constant thing. It's not like we just learn it and we do it for a month and then we're good to go and we move to the next. It's a constant assessment of your body.
Yeah. Day
to day. Which is cool, I think.
Well, and
what do you get excited about? What are you most excited about with it?
I like the smiling. I like the camaraderie. I like friends and families getting together with the boat as the centerpiece or the lake as the centerpiece, but I do really resonate with, so the flow point, the whole reason that I started the flow point was there's multiple meanings behind the flow point, but the first meaning, the fundamental meaning was that place where you're suddenly so present and so everything becomes so crystal clear that you just disappear and you're not really there. You're just experiencing the moment as an observer, almost like you're separate from it. That's the flow state, flow point, whatever you want to call it. And I want people to have more of those experiences. That's what I want.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Okay. So with that, what is do you have an example of when you've been in that flow point?
Yeah, the one that I always go back to was Russia World Championships 2011. I'd skied at that river a couple times before in the World Cup. I got second, Ty Terry in 2004. But this particular day, nobody, there's 12 guys in the finals, Chris Parrish, Adam Settlemeyer, like big names, I think Will Asher, and nobody had run 39 until I came out. And it's a tough place to ski, so went out, somehow just kind of blacked out, as people would say, got in that flow point, like mind frame, and ran 39, was so stoked, and actually just kind of blew it, was so over the top about that I couldn't come back down to get back to access that flow state or that flow point again for 41 off. So that's my biggest, I guess, moment where I felt like I was just in the zone, but also one of my biggest regrets was also not being able to extend that moment, that flow point, into 41 off. But anyway, I would say that one of the biggest hindrances to that accessing that flow point is, there's a couple different things, but just repetition or number of chances to access that. So that's why longevity for me is the biggest thing. If we can get people to be able to ski longer, more sets, with balance, right? But more years, you're gonna have just more. It's just like nature. Like moms have 1,000 eggs so that enough survive so that they can go on and make more turtles. I want you to have the most amount of sets between now and the day you die so that you can have more opportunities to have a flow point moment. That's rule number one for me, is so give people the tools to stay on the water for more years.
Yeah, quality sets.
Quality sets.
And quality doesn't always mean performance. It
Doesn't mean performance.
It doesn't mean like you've always done your best. Yeah.
No. There's sets where I would go out here at the ridge and I didn't do what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But I felt something.
Yeah.
Or when I got off the water, I had a realization, or I was able to take something away, and I was able to learn, and I was still on 2 feet. I was still injury free, and that was enough for me.
Yeah.
So that's number one with the flow point. And then the next thing, I guess the biggest thing, is this quest to share with anybody who wants to listen and anybody who's willing to do a little bit of work. This isn't just here's how to ski, but to paint the picture, lay the foundation for how water skiing works.
Yeah.
That to me is the biggest. If you take a step back and you say, what's the biggest barrier to improvement for any water skier? It's understanding how the water skiing works. What are the physical principles that govern the way that any skier moves through the course? And what are the key fundamentals that can take a skier from 0 to hero, or take a skier from 32 off, struggling to run, to running 35 or even running 38 in a couple of years?
Yeah.
That to me, this is irregardless of whatever ski you're riding, whatever equipment you're using, whatever boots you're on, whatever boat you're skiing behind, whatever lake you're at. It doesn't matter. The physics of skiing, how the universal principles of skiing work, those are all the same. So building that understanding, building the fundamental understanding of how skiing works, so that skiers can follow along. I built out this pyramid with the help of some real good close friends in the water ski world this pyramid, water ski pyramid with 9 fundamentals. These fundamentals are the best guess at how things work right now, based on physics, based on dynamics, and based on what we know about open channel hydraulics and the surface, a planing surface on an open channel, which is a ski on a lake. That's to me, that's what gets me fired up. That's what gets my juices flowing, like telling people, showing people, okay, this is how, here are the tools of how skiing works. Take this, and I want to explain it in as many different ways as possible. You can't just approach it from one aspect. People learn in all kinds of different ways. Some people observe, some people listen, some people have to feel, some people are all three or many more as far as how they best learn something new or master a new skill. Coming at it from all these different angles and different directions and explaining it in different ways and showing different versions, whether it's aerial drone shot or it's a slow motion from the shore angle or it's a drawing of the geometry of how skiing works. That to me, being able to share with people my understanding developed through the last 25 years with the greats like Terry Winter and Bob LaPointe and Dave Winger and Will Asher, working with all these people to come up with how skiing works and to be able to process that into the clearest, simplest explanation possible, and then share that with the world through this platform we've created, the FlowPoint Method. That to me, I feel like gets me the most excited. In case you couldn't already tell.
I know, it was awesome. I love your energy. No, don't be sorry, the energy is great, but how cool to have a universal language too now, like, if that's the way to say it, but like, you talk about people go in there like want to learn more about skiing, and so they look at 75 different YouTube videos that are put together that are all saying different things, and what a confusing mess. But to have a blueprint and a universal language that when you sit on the ski lake or you're talking to somebody on the phone or wherever it is, and you can talk about athletic stance or handle connection or pistol, full ankle dorsiflexion, whatever it is, where people can understand the language and the meaning behind what is actually happening with your body, with the ski, the whole gamut of it, you know?
Language is key, you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, having the vocabulary to be able to have a constructive dialogue with anybody and everybody is key. And here's the key, here's the real takeaway. We aren't inventing anything. Nobody's inventing anything. We're basically, it's like the theory of gravity.
Fine tuning.
Or it's like the theory of quantum physics, to go really deep.
Yeah,
we don't have to
we
talk
all know about
it,
quantum physics.
But there's a theory that explains quantum physics, and that's the fundamental underpinning of all materials and all things in existence to our best knowledge so far as humans. But the theory of quantum physics, is exactly that. It's a theory. It's the simplest explanation of the way things work in the natural world. We're trying to come up with a theory of skiing.
And what's really cool about theories?
The theory of water skiing.
They evolve.
Theories evolve. But the theory of water skiing, as we've spelled it out, based on the water ski pyramid and moving forward in the FlowPoint Method, is the simplest explanation we have so far for how water skiing works. And then coming up with a set of, coming up with a vocabulary and the fundamental understanding of what the elements are, then makes it easier for us to explain it to each other or have a dialogue about it with each other or come to a better understanding between two skiers or a group of skiers. Now, here's the thing. What I encourage with anybody who's a water skier is to listen to everybody.
Totally, yes.
Listen to everybody.
Yes.
But what we're doing with the FlowPoint Method is building an understanding and giving you the tools as a skier on the water to be able to sift through what you may hear from anybody, whether it's somebody at a ski school in Florida, or it's somebody in France, or it's somebody in Alaska, or it's in Chile, wherever it is, being able to listen to anybody. Because anybody out there who's going to tell you something about water skiing, there's an element of truth and there's an element of fact in that, whether they're way outside the lines or they're well within the lines. So listen to everybody, but the more you understand the toolkit that we're giving you at the FlowPoint Method, the better you can glean the good stuff from what you're going to hear from any source on the internet or otherwise in person, and then let the better you can let the other stuff fall away. In other words, we're trying to give you the tools to decipher and move in a better direction of mastery as an individual on the water of the key elements that are going to make you a better skier, so that you can keep them simple and think about them, process them, conceptualize them, theorize off the water with friends, family, whether you're in the sauna or you're at a breakfast table or you're having coffee at the coffee shop or you're driving in your car, listening to your favorite music. So then when you get to the lake, you're not processing all this crap. You're just going to go out and try to find a feeling based on a concept that you now understand better because you heard somebody say it in a way that you hadn't heard before or you hadn't even heard on the FlowPoint method, but it fits the general concept or outline of what we've spelled out with the FlowPoint method. We're giving you the tools to navigate the world in a much better way so that then you can go out and become the best version of yourself on the water, performance-wise, emotional-wise, and walk away with a bigger smile and more high fives and be able to do it for a lot more years.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
That was great.
Yeah.
The kind of along those same lines, like we're giving you, first of all, I say this, I think I said this in the last one, I say this to every athlete I work with or what client I work with. Marcus and I have our own experiences and we have the experiences we've learned from other people and their experiences, which we have made our own individual approach, which is brought together to make the FlowPoint method. When I'm a nutritional therapist, and in that there is not one right way to eat. Marcus and I require different fueling. That's a thing, all right? We need different things. Which we call bio-individual approach to eating or to nutrition is exactly what you should take when it comes to skiing.
Yep.
Is taking the tools that we give you and then, like he said, pulling from other sources, letting things go that don't resonate, pulling things in that do resonate, and making this plan that really fits your needs. And we try as much as we can to give those options in our program so that you can make it your own. We're not telling you have to do A, B, C, D. We're giving you the suggestions and a little bit of a roadmap to help you choose what works for you.
I think that's a killer point because how many times have you felt or you heard somebody say, well, yeah, I know that's the rule, but that doesn't work for me or whatever. Now I'm going to say you can be on both sides of that. You can say, well, it doesn't work for me because you truly haven't understood or tried or whatever. But also, each individual is a point of experience in this world. And so we want to give you the tools so that you can navigate your experience from day to day, week to week, on the water, off the water, better than you could otherwise. And that's the thing is understanding that, like you said, it's all individualistic. Like whether it's fuel in your body. Like I like to eat a little different stuff. I feel better with a little different stuff than you do. Sure. It's the same with skiing, but the fundamentals aren't changing and the way that skiing actually works doesn't change. So the more you understand the fundamentals of how skiing works, I know it sounds scary, but it's not. It's actually exciting to understand what the fundamentals are that control you navigating 6 buoys or you navigating lefts and rights on a free ski session. But understanding them in your own way and having the tools with which to improve yourself as you move forward based on what you may hear from other sources or from the FlowPoint method, that's the real goal. And really it's about personal empowerment. So for instance, common misconceptions in the sport, it's like there's a lot of them. There's a lot because there's been anecdotal approach. It's basically been an anecdotal approach to skiing for decades. Like, what did Andy Mapple do? What does Jeff Rogers do? What does Jennifer Leachman do? Like what do these people do? Let's copy them. That's basically kind of been water skiing. Just
and
for
then
whatever reason.
I don't know. I'm guessing those 3 people have different things.
Yeah, totally different
things.
things.
That's the bio-individual thing.
However, if you don't have the tools to unpack what they're doing from the fundamental level, like in other words, free body diagram. If you're an engineer or physicist, you know what we're talking about. But understanding the way that person moves from a free body diagram perspective, then you realize that most elite skiers, most really good skiers, all do stuff pretty similar. They just look differently because their body is in an anatomically slightly different shape, or they have a different style, whatever that may be. However, common misconceptions run rampant. So for instance, I talked about counter rotation the other day on our Instagram post and Facebook. Counter rotation is hugely misunderstood, partly due to, it's my fault, Terry Winter's fault, Mike Satterhout's fault. We talked a lot about counter rotation back in 2006 with West Coast Slalom.
This is theory evolution,
This is theory evolution, right? So 14 years later, counter rotation is something that I've realized should be, I call it a strike movement. Now, what do I mean by that? Imagine this. If you're on a bar stool, you're standing on a bar stool, pretend like I am, and it's free to move left or right. You can sneakily orient your body to the right, twist slowly, 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 and stay under the radar, if you will, to not have your feet move the other way. But now you're poised and ready. So if you want your feet to go this way, all I have to do is twist my body really quick to the left, and suddenly my feet will go the opposite way. What we've been doing all these years is coming in and telling people to counter rotate.
Matt's ripping.
He is ripping. So
It's fun.
that's really fun. So what we've been telling people to do for years is come into the buoy and counter to get full reach and full width and let the ski go out as far as possible. The problem is, two problems. Number one, your ski goes out too far too soon, as we'll talk about later. You want your ski to stay as close to the handle path as far out as possible. That helps you swing as high on the boat as possible. But the other thing that counter rotation does is it gets you set up to where now you're at end range and there's no available slack in the system when you want to strike, in other words, at short rope lengths for higher end skiers, to get your ski to smear or stivot and start moving back behind the boat to keep the rope tight. There's no way to get your body, your feet to do that because you've basically already made that move. You made it way before the ball, way before apex. So you're already countered, and now the only thing you can do is kind of this weird rotation with your upper body, which ends up wanting to push your feet down course. It's the opposite. Instead, people should be coming into the buoy and not being worried about counter. As soon as the handle comes off the handle, the second hand comes off the handle, keep your chest down the fall line or down the buoy line, and just before you want to get full reach, that's when you let your feet go out. That's when you let your body go to full counter, and that quick move into the full counter position actually allows the ski to more naturally stivot or smear and rotate through range of angle. And so it's this counterintuitive thing, but like we said, the theory now is different than it was 10 or 15 years ago. But as far as counter rotation goes, don't be trying to get all pretty and countered and facing the shore way before the buoy, because it's actually not ideal. It's not an ideal scenario.
We don't have to hurt. Like that's one big thing, I guess, when we think of common misconceptions is, oh, I'm 60 years old, I'm like, this is gonna hurt. I've been skiing. Like, we aren't made to hurt. We're made to feel really good, and our bodies are made to work for a really long time.
Yeah.
They're supposed to outwork us.
So there's ways to get
But there's,
beyond that
so
pain.
yeah, if something is hurting, that's another common misconception. No pain, no gain. For the love of God, no, that is not true. Like, don't push through pain. You can work around pain. I know whenever there's an injury or an ache or a pain, don't just stop training. That's the worst thing you can do to get better.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's.
Nope.
Okay, let's talk about a little concept of nutrition with fats, right? Hopefully we are out of this world, but one big thing is a low-fat diet or staying away from fat, staying away from saturated fats. Guys, it's so important. Fat is literally one of the most, it's just so important. It helps, again, omega-3s are precursors to anti-inflammation. So if we have systemic inflammation because of stress and toxins, which most of us do in our life, right? Or if it's inflammation from an injury, your ankle, arthritis, right? Fat, omega-3 fatty acids, so whether that's taking a fish oil or cod liver supplement, or if you're eating good fatty fish, salmon, that kind of stuff is you have to have that in order to anti-inflame. So if you're not getting enough of that in your diet, there could be these aches and pains and things that are coming up, and that can really help. Turmeric is another thing that can really help with that, combined with black pepper. So there's strategies when it comes to nutrition that can really help. But when it comes to fat, don't not have it. Avocados, olive oils, coconut oils, grass-fed butter. If you can do okay with dairy, do some cheese, do some raw organic cheeses. Fat is so important. It makes food taste way better. Like, how's steamed broccoli versus steamed broccoli with a crap ton of butter on it?
Yeah.
Way better with the butter.
Good point.
It makes you taste better. It makes you feel more full. So if your goal is weight loss, do not avoid fat. Please put fat in your diet, because that's going to help you to be able to lose weight.
Which we know being lighter on
the
ski
is better, which we can talk about that a different time. But
later.
yeah, so food-wise, if I were going to give you a tip, Stay hydrated, which means at least half your body weight in ounces of water daily, plus more if you're sweating and exercising. And eat good healthy fat. Make sure you're cooking with saturated fats. Make sure that you're using like olive oils and avocados to drizzle on stuff, but keeping it raw. And then omega-3s. There you go.
I like it. Well, that was fun. Maybe you want to go ski?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll do another one of these. This is a good little first 2020.
Can people
sit down.
comment on these somewhere?
Yeah, people can comment.
Yeah. So comment if you Marcus and I are around each other a lot, so we can do as many of these as you guys want. So if there's any questions you have, specifics, not like how do I eat?
But
if you have
specific
specifics,
questions.
yeah, let us know because we'd like to address them. And check out the FlowPoint Method because we're really proud of it and we know it can help you.
And we got huge discounts.
Huge discounts.
$600 off a new syndicate, 30% off, $1,500 or more at HOsports.com. A bunch of discounts off the coaching, some free ski days here with us.
Yeah.
Got a lot. All right, before the boat comes, we're going to cut this off.
It's a wrap.
Thanks, guys.